Area. Today we're hosting another live Q&A. Now, I wanted to start off by saying that I probably don't sound the best, and that's because, for reasons I'll get into in a minute, the last 4 or 5 days I have been particularly unwell, but I am on the mend. But my voice, as you might be able to hear, is a little bit raspy at the moment, and so my voice may sort of go into peaks and troughs over the course of this live, so just bear with me on that one. Now, it's been about 2 weeks or more since I actually made a video of any kind for the channel, for Stomaria's channel. And the reason for that is that I have actually been away with my family abroad for 2 weeks. And it was a fantastic little adventure for the most part. There were some hiccups, which I won't necessarily get into in this particular live stream, but it was a very enjoyable experience all the same. And it was a welcome break from the usual politicking that I typically have to do for Stomaria and the associated member states of the Empire. I did post a couple of times while I was away, but as a lot of people did notice that there was an absence of content, and that was the reason why. And the reason I did a live, or am doing a live, instead of doing a standalone video, is because it has been some time since I did a live. In fact, when I last checked, it was actually September 2024 when I last did a live video, and I thought it might be quite nice to actually jump back into it and have another go, effectively, to have another live Q&A, to actually put myself out there again and interact in a more live, informal capacity where there's not going to be any editing required or any scripts written or anything like that. I can just go out there and enjoy myself a little bit more. And that in part is why I am doing this, because I just can't be bothered to actually edit a video tonight. I can't be bothered to create a script tonight. I can't be bothered to do any of that, so I'm just going to put out a live, discuss a few things that have come up, some good news and some interesting developments, and then from there I can just put it out in the public space and I don't need to worry about it. And I do like this kind of organic way of going about it in terms of promoting myself and Stomaria to the public in the wider world, because this is ultimately how I prefer to operate. I don't necessarily like to do entirely scripted videos where it's all heavily edited and it's all very, I'm trying to think of the right word. It's not organic, it's very, not, inauthentic is the wrong word, but it's not coming directly from the heart as of the moment. It's something that's been scripted, it's something that's been potentially rehearsed, it's something that's been repeated on some form or on some level or another during the editing phase, and we've just taken the best snippets of that particular part of the conversation and so on and so forth. So this is just a way to put myself out there in a more organic way, and that's what I like to do. Now, you might actually notice some of the decorations in the background. It's a happy birthday sign, because today is actually my birthday. And we had a small celebration, just me and my wife and daughter. Obviously nothing spectacular or nothing fancy. In fact, it wasn't until this morning when my wife actually wished me a happy birthday that I actually remembered it was my birthday. And since we only just came back from abroad yesterday, we've not exactly had any time or preparation or anything like that to actually put anything together. Not that I really like that sort of thing anyway. I don't like big parties or grand celebrations when it's concerning me or my birthday in particular. Just another reminder that I'm that much older. But we did have a little cake and a little celebration and everything early, and I just haven't had time to put absolutely everything away. So I've just quickly thrown all this together to do this live stream, and then I will tidy everything up properly a little later on. Now, advance warning, little Princess Eleanor is asleep in the next room, and Empress Samantha is out starring in a play, or she will be starring in a play that she's currently doing rehearsals for. So she's out tonight doing rehearsals, and she'll be back at about 11 o'clock-ish, give or take. I don't expect this live stream to go on for that long. Probably going to be maybe an hour and a half, if that's pushing it. If we get any kind of traction in terms of people that want to ask questions, then obviously happy to do that. But if not, I just want to cover the things that I wanted to cover, and then we can just leave it at that. So we'll see how we go. So the first thing I wanted to quickly touch on is the threshold of 300,000 views on our YouTube channel, which we are just shy of. I think we're maybe 200 views or something shy of it. And I have this artwork, says 300,000 views, 10,000 likes, 2,800 subscribers on our YouTube channel, and it's been ready for a few weeks now. And I've just been waiting as the figures tick up slowly, about 150, 200 a day, give or take. And I'm just waiting for it to hit that 300,000 threshold. And once it does, which I suspect by this time tomorrow it will have done, then we will have achieved quite a significant milestone. To have 300,000 views across our channel is pretty incredible from my own perspective, especially for something as niche as what we're doing. And it just goes to highlight just how well known, comparatively speaking, Stomaria is in the great scheme of things, and it's good to see. And you know, it's a step in the right direction. And eventually, that 300,000 is going to be 500,000, then it's going to be 1 million, then it's going to be 5 million, 10 million, and so on and so forth over the years and decades ahead. And the more people we can actually reach, the more people that watch our content, the more people that get value from our content, the more obvious our presence is going to be, and how useful our content is going to be for the people that actually come across us. Because ultimately, in particular the last couple of years, what we have done is try to streamline everything into content which is going to be, broadly speaking, useful to as many people as possible. That is to say, like the How to Start a Nation series would be a good example of that. But we also have many videos covering many topics concerning self-reliance or sovereignty or monetary systems and all the rest of it that don't necessarily fall into the How to Start a Nation series. But at the end of the day, what I want to do is to make sure that the content that we do put out there is not only a reflection of what we are doing and what we have learned, but it is also going to be a means of helping people on their own journeys if they are looking to do something similar. Because for a lot of people, excuse me, for a lot of people, we have become the blueprint, if you like, in terms of how you can go about doing this. Now, what we are doing is not the only way you can go about building a nation in the modern world, but it is certainly one of the most obvious, and it's one of the most direct, and it's one of the simplest. And I think that's what a lot of people do struggle to get their heads around sometimes. It is a very simple, straightforward thing to do. You don't have to overcomplicate it. You don't have to write letters and constitutions and all the rest of it, and send out these letters to these various diplomats or representatives from the United Nations and try to get some kind of recognition by getting a reply of some description. It's not about, you know, claiming lands or trying to find loopholes, legal loopholes in certain parts of the world in order to try to worm your way in there. You don't need to do any of that. You just need to go out there and actually get some land that you can control and, you know, utilize in some way, and actually go out there and build it. Just go out there and do it. You don't need to faff around. You don't need to be clever about it. You just need to go out there and do it. It's pretty straightforward stuff. And obviously we have an entire series dedicated to that. So if you are interested in that sort of thing, then I would recommend going and checking that out. Now, the other thing that I wanted to touch on is something that has been it's the first time it's happened. So it's a unique situation in the nearly 6 years that Stomaria has been around. Concerning our YouTube channel as well, is the copyright claim tool that we have has been used by us for the first time. And it's not obviously a milestone that I'm particularly proud of as such. I don't particularly like using, you know, copyright claims or whatever else against people as a general rule. There are lots of people out there that have used snippets of our content for one reason or another, some flattering, some not so much, but I've never had to use an actual copyright claim to take down entire videos that I thought was unjustified in their usage. And the reason for that, I just want to quickly explain. I'm not going to name names as to which channel did it or whatever else, but there was a channel which, by and large, the owner of which, or the person that was creating content for it, was talking about some interesting things, and under different circumstances, it might have been something worth looking into a bit more. And they actually sent us an email asking if we'd be interested in having a video call, a conversation about Stomaria, and discussing some of the ideas and how we have been helpful or some kind of inspiration to them, and so on and so forth. But the problem was that this particular channel had downloaded our videos, about half a dozen of our own videos, and we were in the position where he just re-uploaded them onto his own channel without any commentary, any editing whatsoever. He'd literally just taken our content and uploaded it onto his channel, and that was actually flagged up by YouTube itself. And it's something that we sent an email about. We said, be interested in talking more and learning more about you, and so on and so forth. But before we do any of that, we really need you to take these videos down. It's our content, it's our intellectual property. We put the time and the effort to actually put these together, and all you've done is download it and re-upload it onto your channel for views, for likes, for clicks, whatever else. Obviously that's just not on as far as we're concerned. Now obviously if they were just taking snippets of our content and then commenting on it, that's no problem at all, no issues with that. But this is the first time you've actually had to go ahead and get YouTube to remove them. And since we didn't get a response from the particular channel creator, from the content creator, by email, we just went through YouTube, and even then we gave them an ultimatum of take it down within a 7-day time frame. There won't be any actions taken against them. And they did just that relatively quickly once YouTube intervened and did it directly. So yeah, that was, as I say, it's not something I'm particularly proud of as such. I'm just saying it is a tool we will use if we have to. I am by and large someone that doesn't want to interfere with people's right to free speech on their own platforms. People can say what they like on their own channels. I have no interest in interfering with that. I very rarely, if ever, comment or interact on other people's content anyway, and so I don't have any dog in that fight, in the sense I'm perfectly happy for people to use snippets of their own content if they're going to use them when it comes to the fair use policy that YouTube has. But yeah, if you're going to be taking the mick and you're going to be just downloading our entire videos, then you can expect to get a copyright strike from us, or from YouTube more specifically, if that content is not removed. So that was another thing I briefly want to touch upon, because it's something that I did consider making an entire video on, but I don't think it was just, in the span of 2 minutes I've already kind of explained the situation. I don't think I could stretch it out and make a video about that sort of thing, so I think it's probably just best to cover it in the live stream. Now, in terms of the works going on at Southwood, obviously over the last 2 weeks I've not been able to get down there, and I've not been able to do any works on the land, but preparations have been made for works to carry on there, because we do have a lot of ongoing projects going on at Southwood, which is the Stomarian province, which the Imperial Summit is going to be held in June. Sorry, again, it's just the throat. It's just not agreeing with me today. But I'll try to persevere. Now, the works going on at Southwood are quite varied. Now, I'm actually going to go back down there on the 7th of March and the 8th of March. I'm taking the Friday off work and going down there to actually do some works. We've got some logs to chop up. We've got some tyres to move. I think probably somewhere between 100 and 200 tyres, which were there before I actually purchased the land, and they actually form like a boundary at the back of the land. But I don't like them. I'm trying to minimise everything at the land, and so we're getting those removed and recycled by a company, but we need to actually get them out, clean them and all that jazz. The fire pits need removing. We've got more seed to sow. We've got more gravel coming for the driveway entrance. We're actually going to have some new gates installed at the land. We're going to get them professionally done, if possible, using some concrete posts and some quite sturdy driveway gates. At the moment, they're kind of dilapidated, I suppose is the right word to use. They're falling apart a bit, and they're barely hanging on. Again, it was all before my time. This is all before I actually purchased the land. They've just been there before that, so it's well worth removing them and replacing them, I think, at this point, just to finish things off. We've obviously done the fencing around Southwood, but there is more fencing work to be done. I want to carry on that fencing since we have more fencing, we have more posts, just going to make more use of that. The rubbish has been largely removed now. So on the, when was it? The 7th of February, seems to ring a bell. I think it was the 7th. We had some people collect, I'd say 90% of the generic rubbish. Cost a small fortune to do so, but removed it was. And we're having the scrap removed on the 7th of March. So I'll be going down there and I will be organising that as well. So the rubbish finally is going to be actually cleared from the land, and anything else that's remaining, ties excluded, is going to be burnable, more than likely. It's just going to be bits of wood or other burnable material, which we don't need to pay someone to remove and recycle or dispose of in some way. So it won't be like plastics or batteries or anything like that. It'll be old bits of timber which has been used for decking or something like that. So hopefully the land is going to be entirely cleared in the next month or two, and we'll see how we go with that one. But I want everything ideally to be finished before the Imperial Summit in June, because in June obviously we do have what will likely be the last major event at Southwood, certainly for the foreseeable future, if all goes well, because we are looking to purchase additional lands in a different part of the world. I say a different part of the world, a different part of the UK, potentially somewhere closer to where I reside, because Southwood is about an hour and 10 minutes from where I am, which isn't too bad, but having to and fro constantly from there, as regularly as I do, it does make it, not even from an economical perspective, it's just a bit draining to have to wake up in the early hours of the morning, drive down there, do a full day's work, and then drive all the way back. Especially now that we're coming to an end and we're doing the final last major jobs that I can think of anyway, in terms of boiling everything back down to make it a usable province, a usable territory, without too much human interaction. And that is the game plan. A lot of the lands that we have down there, particularly Wayward South, which is of course the adjoining province, is going to be largely used for like wildflowering almost. It's going to be not left to its own devices as such, but it's going to be a lot more ecologically focused, if you like. It's going to be considering the environment a lot more on that side, whereas at Southwood, it's a little bit more industrious. So obviously we do have, and a lot of people can see, a lot of floral elements to it. And we obviously have a lot of the